And we start with a wild scene on the baseball diamond in Brevard County. 2 people were rushed to the hospital after a helicopter plummeted from the sky, crash landing on its side near home plate. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Hannah Mackenzie. The proposed Florida bear hunt is back in the headlines. Dozens of people gathered at Lake Eola today in protest of it. FWC is considering bringing back the permitted bear hunt for the first time in 10 years. A Fox 35 update now. The Orlando woman claiming self-defense in a deadly road rage shooting is home for the first time in close to 2 weeks. Now to a news alert. A helicopter plummets into the Hudson River in New York City, killing all on board. Of the 6 victims, 3 were children. It happened just after 3 this afternoon. Videos show the chopper mostly submerged in the water as rescue boats circle the aircraft. No shoes and clad in full camo, the blue-collar brawler is back at it again, this time wrangling a 10-foot alligator on the side of a busy Florida highway. That's Mike Dragich right there. He is a licensed nuisance gator trapper. He says he got the call, dropped his dinner plans, and found this big guy strolling down I-95. Emphasis on the big here, because he says this gator was, quote, thick. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
How's May the 5th looking, though? That's what I want to know. Here at Herschel King Park, I have found plenty of fishing line, weights, even rusty hooks. This piece I found was just a few steps away from a receptacle specifically designed to discard things like this. Alrighty, here is a live look from the Hard Rock Hotel, Daytona Beach. Was that a bat? Just kidding. My eyes are not that good. Noah jumped though. No, I got you there.
And you're mad at me.
You actually made me look at that. That's funny.
He was like, what? All right, now to an update on our Fox 35 favorite underdog, Sweet Pea. This poor pup is finally out of the ICU and recovering from a surgery to reconstruct her skull after being beaten almost 2 weeks ago. You might remember when I first brought you her story earlier this week. Sweet Pea was attacked in Live Oak. It's a town 3 hours north of Orlando. The man who allegedly did it is still behind bars. Sweet Pea was rescued, though, and brought to Oviedo Veterinary Care and Emergency. And thanks to viewers like you, enough money was raised to get her on the road to recovery. Of course, we are all rooting for Sweet Pea. Orlando International Airport was on a ground stop for much of the day. That is no longer in effect, but it did leave travelers stranded following hundreds of delays and cancellations. Fox 35's Stephanie Buffamonte is live at the airport tonight. Steph, a lot of people are traveling for spring break. What a nightmare. From the Fox 35 Mission Control, SpaceX is getting ready to send another batch of Starlink satellites into orbit, and we are less than a minute from blast off. This marks the 20th flight for the first stage booster on this mission. We are going to check in live on this exciting moment. Here we go. 20 seconds till this launch goes up with all those Starlink satellites, a pretty common occurrence. Laurel told us earlier that the weather was favorable for a perfect launch, and it seems that all systems are go with 9 seconds, 8, 7, 6. I'll let them do the rest.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And liftoff. Go Starlink, go Falcon.
He tells me one of the cyclists landed just right here, the other one about 20 feet that way, and the third landed face down in the middle of the street.
Hannah, people who live nearby say they are scared.
They really are, Marlisa, because this guy is still on the run. Now, in addition to that new sketch that we just showed you, we also do have that grainy surveillance video showing the suspect pacing back and forth. That was taken right here in this parking lot. I know my photographer is going to hate me for this, but I'm going to ask if we can look at these lights over here because they are just bouncing in the wind. Those traffic lights up there at the intersection. It's kind of eerie to see. That's why I'm glad we're standing a little bit back from that, because I don't want to be near anywhere close to that if those things take flight. This is what we're talking about, is coming flying down the street as a projectile. That can do some damage. That could go straight through a windshield. That's why it's important to stay off the roads. The chief said his officers had a split-second decision to make because they thought he was holding a real gun. Turns out it was just a pellet-style weapon, but it looked like the real deal. I want to draw your attention over here to this house. Deputies just going door to door, asking folks if they can get in the backyard. They're checking under cars. I just watched a deputy open a trash can lid and check inside. Marlisa, these guys are all over this Deltona neighborhood looking for 7-year-old Charlie. Here is where Jesse Kirk's burning vehicle was found. You can see the ground is still charred, and over here the trees are black with soot. There was lots of pieces of the car still left behind, including part of a tire there. And if you walk back with me over here, even part of the emblem from her Lincoln Navigator. Some good news, as you can probably hear, those alarms no longer going off, and crews behind me are actually picking up and heading out as we speak right now. That was almost on cue. We are standing on this side of the barricade for obvious reasons, but I do want to show you just how close this is to businesses. So if we take just a few steps this way, we find ourselves at Dunkin'. In fact, the business had to shut down their entire drive-through until the sinkhole is repaired. Cleanup efforts are well underway here in Longwood. If we check out over here, some broken windows have since been boarded up since the last time we saw them. And heading over on this side, we have piles of tree debris, large limbs just stacked on the side of the street. The homeowner here telling me this oak was about 150 years old. The National Weather Service confirming this EF2 tornado was only on the ground for about 5 or 6 minutes, but the amount of damage it did in that time is extensive. This is the moment an EF2 tornado tore through the Whispering Winds neighborhood in Longwood. 115-mile-per-hour winds slamming debris into the windshield as the vehicle rocks back and forth. Trapped inside her work van, Janikmar Rangel says it only lasted about 40 seconds, but she thought those were her last 40 seconds alive. On the brink of tears, Rangel recalling the terrifying moments.
I got under the co-pilot area because obviously the van doesn't have a door to the back, only the side door. I told myself to keep recording until the wind stopped because the van was shaking me.
A few doors down. I mean, that's quite a terrifying sight.
Yeah, it is. Yep. I'm just thankful it didn't come through the house and strike one of us.
Patrick Sless surveying the damage to his house. So that's not your roof?
That is not my roof, no. You could tell by the different color shingles. They still have their Christmas lights on.
Here's the house he thinks those shingles came from. The home on Blue Iris Place took the brunt of the damage. There's not much left of it. Miraculously, everyone inside survived.
I don't know how anybody could live through that. Crazy.
The National Weather Service confirming the tornado touched down at 9:36 a.m. Alerts went out just 2 minutes prior.
They always say train, but to me it sounded like a jet. And a few seconds later, debris started hitting all the windows. My wife said, we better get in the closet. So we did, and, short time later, it was over.
And the tornado's path was just shy of 2 miles. According to NWS, only about 10% of tornadoes in Central Florida reach EF1 or EF2 status, so this was very rare. Everyone I have spoken with in this neighborhood telling me tonight they are counting their blessings. Live in Longwood, Hannah Mackenzie, Fox 35 News.
Hannah, how's the gator doing tonight?
Well, John, he is alive, and that is good news because I'm told he wouldn't have been for much longer had that snare not been removed when it was.
Oh, get her on, baby, get her on. Oh.
A normal gig for nuisance alligator trapper A.J. Ellis.
Oh, there he is.
Until it wasn't.
Looks like he's got an injury on his face.
When Ellis reeled in this 5-footer Tuesday, he noticed it had a snare embedded into its upper jaw.
That's terrible, man. Yeah, people are terrible. Oh, did somebody try and do that?
Ellis thinks this snare is the result of poaching or a failed attempt at catching the gator, both felonies, punishable by prison time.
Don't interfere with wildlife. Leave it to somebody who's trained, a professional.
Per FWC, a nuisance gator must be at least 4 feet long and believed to be a threat. Licensed trappers contracted by the agency, like Ellis, are issued alligator harvest permits.
Got the snare off of them. It's done a pretty good little bit of damage here.
Once caught, they're usually either sold for their meat and hide or euthanized. With several hundred trappings under his belt, Ellis knew this one was different.
As soon as I saw him, I started thinking like, hey, this, it'd be nice to get this gator some help.
So this nuisance gator,
come on, buddy,
now getting a new lease on life.
Right now we have him inside of a little temporary enclosure.
Trapjaw, as he's now called, is the newest resident at Bellowing Acres Animal Sanctuary in Interlaken. Chris Gillette says he's being treated with topical meds.
He's a little bit on the skinny side, so we'll try to fatten him up a little big and nice and healthy and allow him to grow out of that mark from the snare. Thankfully, alligators are just incredible animals at healing, and I imagine within a year or two, you won't even be able to tell that gator ever had the snare on there.
Both Gillette and Ellis have extensive experience with gators, both rescuing them and trapping them, and neither man has ever seen anything like this before. Live in Volusia County, Hannah Mackenzie, Fox 35 News.